Well, good afternoon, and thank you for being here. It's a little surreal to see real people in a real auditorium that's not in auditorium mode in MS Teams. It is a pleasure to be here today and address all of you, and it's a pleasure to be for my first visit to Israel. The Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, or going forward I'll refer to it as the Cyber Centre, was established in 2018 as one of the key initiatives from the Government of Canada's new National Cybersecurity Strategy. This strategy identifies strong cybersecurity as essential to Canadian safety, security, and prosperity, and covers three broad themes: security and resilience, cyber innovation, and leadership and collaboration. And it emphasized Canada's whole-of-society approach to cybersecurity. The Cyber Centre is Canada's lead for national cybersecurity and a unified source of expert advice, guidance, services, and support on cybersecurity operational matters. Like our international partners, we provide our citizens and businesses with a clear and trusted place to turn to for cybersecurity advice, guidance. But moreover, we believe we are here to do something about the real problems we face as a nation. We are not just responsible for the security of Government of Canada systems. We are responsible more broadly for helping Canada as a whole to improve our digital resilience through a national culture of cybersecurity collaboration and best practices, and that includes critical infrastructure. While we are a relatively new organization, we are one with a rich history, and for 75 years, my parent organization, the Communication Security Establishment, or called CSE, has been Canada's Foreign Signals Intelligence, or SIGINT agency, and the lead federal authority for the IT security. And in August 2019, the CSE Act came into force as part of a broader package of national security laws passed earlier by Parliament that outlines our mandate, role, and authorities, and along with our accountabilities and review structures. While the Act certainly codified our information and cybersecurity mandate, including the authority to work collaboratively and deploy our classified tools to defend critical infrastructure, the CSE Act also granted CSE new authorities to conduct foreign cyber operations, both active and defensive, or in other words, to take action online to disrupt foreign threats to Canada. Over the past year, CSE has been authorized to carry out operations to interfere with foreign-based adversaries in cyberspace. These online operations have helped to defend Canada's interests and to keep Canadians safe. They are also intended to deter threat actors by changing the cost-benefit calculus of targeting Canada in the future. Our use of cyber operations follows Canadian law as well as norms of responsible state behavior in cyberspace. But every day we ask ourselves this question: what can we do to make Canada the safest place to live, work, and play online? Or in today's terms, how can we contribute to a secure digital Canada? And so make no mistake, I am charged and I am here to make Canada more safe and secure. But I am also going to say that we want to do it with partners around the world. We should not ever be competitors when it comes to securing like-minded, free nations. At the Cyber Centre, we have taken a three-pronged approach to enabling a secure digital Canada. Our model is protect, inform, and empower. And our mantra is security through collaboration. We protect Canada by being the builders and defenders of the Government of Canada's information networks and the defences. And we apply that knowledge to raise the security bar across Canada through partnerships with other levels of government, the private sector, academia, critical infrastructure, telecommunications providers, and many, many, many others. We inform Canadian citizens and businesses of the threats they face and what can be done about those threats. And we empower those by sharing our tools, techniques, and information to raise the bar even more. In fact, we have open sourced some of our tools to share with the global cyber community, including our assembly line tool to perform malware analysis and to scale to millions upon millions of defensive actions. And we also, of course, and I will emphasize it again, do this with like-minded partners at home and around the world. The Cyber Centre has been designed to be at the forefront of the diverse and cyber threat landscape, and as we've heard many times already, it is changing constantly and evolving. Our approach to cyber defense is dynamic and proactive to respond to that threat. And we must also look ahead to the future to stay a step ahead of those threat actors facing Canada and Canadians. To put things into perspective, my organization takes between 2 and 7 billion actions per day, that was billion actions per day, to stop malicious cyber activity from reaching the Government of Canada. This is everything from reconnaissance or denying our enemies the chance to see what the battlefield looks like, or to adversaries looking for vulnerabilities within those systems to exploit. And we also stop, of course, malware or any other malicious software from being installed or communicating on our networks. And every single action I've just described is after every layer of commercial defenses have taken all of theirs. But lest you think we only take those actions to defend the Government of Canada and sit back smugly in our chairs and help no one else, everything we learn is shared back into the cybersecurity ecosystem and directly with trusted partners around the world. I'm proud of the agile, cutting-edge, and world-class defensive system we've built and how we found ways to provide those benefits to Canadians. But that is not how we are all going to advance cybersecurity in the long term. We believe that cybersecurity will actually only come when we begin to address the root causes of the insecurity in the first place. But before we can do that, we also need to know where to start. We need to understand the threats that we all face. Late last year, we released our 2020 National Cyber Threat Assessment, and its goal is to paint an accurate and realistic, not hyperbolic, picture of the cyber threats that Canada is facing. And so that together, government, industry, academia, and indeed individual Canadians can counter them more effectively. And the one key takeaway I will highlight is that cybercrime continues to be the cyber threat that is most likely to affect Canadians and Canadian organizations. What has certainly changed, and as Brandon outlined, is the intensity and level of sophistication we all face, but also the increasing availability of nefarious tools on the dark web, making it easier for less sophisticated bad actors to abuse a greater number of victims. Indeed, we all live in the age of ransomware as a service, and we are seeing it playing out in the large number of victims around the world, including some global players. So while we continue to leverage all aspects of our mandate to help ensure Canada is protected against cyber threats, we never do it alone. We are working in partnership with law enforcement in the form of our National Police Service, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and their National Cybercrime Coordination Unit, and of course with other law enforcement bodies to tackle the cybersecurity incidents of the day. We never forget that every cyber compromise is also a crime, and we are not a law enforcement body in the Cyber Centre. We leave it to our colleagues in law enforcement to investigate and hopefully charge and place behind bars the criminals behind the keyboard and raise that cost. And we look to support them as much as possible in their valiant and important mission. But I do want to emphasize that we can work better internationally together and break down the barriers between law enforcement and cybersecurity agencies. We can have a much greater disruptive and mitigative effect together than working in our traditional silos alone. And so to close off, recently, the Cyber Centre began focusing our efforts on what we term national level outcomes. What can we do with partners to raise the bar on cybersecurity in Canada? And by those actions, make every Canadian just a little safer and a little more secure. And just to give a couple brief examples. At the early days of COVID-19, we launched the Canadian Internet Registration Authority's Canadian Shield. We partnered with that organization to launch a free DNS firewall service that provides online privacy and security to individuals and families across Canada, and based on the defensive measures that have already been in place to protect the government's own systems. Canadian Shield has been blocking its Canadian users from connecting to malicious domains tens of thousands of times daily. To put this in better context, we have stopped tens of thousands of Canadians from installing ransomware or executing. Every Canadian can choose to use this free service. There's no charge, and there's no data going back to the Government of Canada. The only outcome we seek is a safer Canada and safer Canadians. But we also saw that the brand of the Government of Canada was being used fraudulently to dupe Canadians. So we tackled this in multiple ways. We worked with government organizations themselves, along with the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, to get out alerts to Canadians. In fact, there's a series of commercials in Canada about using your common sense. If it seems too good to be true, don't believe it. To better connect Canadians from phishing, we put in place with our colleagues across government DMARC for Government of Canada email domains, and it makes it increasingly difficult, and we've seen impossible, to spoof and to use the Government of Canada to dupe Canadians. And since we launched this, we have analyzed over 317 million email messages, or approximately 900,000 per day, across 270 Government of Canada departments, effectively eliminating the use of our brand to scam Canadians. We also worked with leaders in the telecommunications sector to help mitigate the cyber threats of smishing, whereas malicious SMS text messages were pretending to be the Government of Canada. And then we also worked with commercial partners around the world to take down anybody who pretended to be our brand and pretended to be the Government of Canada. And since we launched this just before COVID started, we've taken down over 9,000 fraudulent sites. And I could go on and on and on because there are many other examples. But every single action was not taken to solve the problem unto itself. It was taken to incrementally increase the cost to a threat actor. The Government of Canada's, our goal is that the Government of Canada is the target you want to attack the least. So we are very conscious that cybersecurity is a team sport, and I'm glad to see so many of my teammates here today. We are never trying to be all things to all people, and our goal is to be a key player on the team. I strongly believe that globally, we need to work together to build a stronger, cyber-resilient infrastructure, and that ensuring that security is designed from the start and not to be an afterthought or by configuration. And in this, I call on industry to improve your cybersecurity. And I'm not talking about the users of technology, I'm talking about the builders. Ship it and fix it is no longer acceptable. And it's time to improve how you build your products. It is time for security by design and security by default. So Canada is going to continue, and we commit to not only working with our domestic partners, but with our international like-minded partners to improve cybersecurity at home and counter cyber threats from abroad. If we do this together, we can all do our part to secure a digital world for a safer tomorrow. Thank you very much.